Hello and good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome everyone in. Thank you so much for coming tonight and your patience. We appreciate you joining us for our up and coming share out. We are going to start here shortly. I'm going to get on camera and Brother John, if you can let me know if we are a go for the live. That would be good. All right. Welcome, welcome. It looks like we are good for the live and we are all in the house. And thank you, like I said, everyone, so much for joining us. My name is Erica Zenzele Hardison, and I am the lead steward and board president for One Community Grocery Co-op. And today we are going to be doing our share out from the FCI Up and Coming Conference of 2025. And just a little brief overview of what the FCI Up and Coming Conference is for those people who don't know. The FCI Up and Coming Co-op Conference is the nation's premier gathering for emerging and developing cooperative grocery stores. Each year, hundreds of co-op leaders, organizers, and community builders come together to learn best practices, strengthen their operational and governance skills, and build powerful networks with co-ops across the country. From fundraising and board development to community ownership and store operations, Up and Coming offers practical training, inspiration, and real-world tools to help communities open and sustain their own grocery stores. It's where vision becomes strategy and where co-ops learn to grow, learn, and rise together. And so OCGC had 5 representatives who went to Up and Coming in September of 2025, and we are just going to do a share out. Tonight's conversation is a key part of our commitment to sharing the impact of the Up and Coming Conference, elevating our community and member owner voices, and continuing to build power within our community. And so this debrief helps us share what we learn and build collective capacity rooted in cooperation. And so we thank everyone and the panelists for being here tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the panelists share their name, their connection to OCGC, and one word that describes their experience. And so while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pin the panelists so everyone can see them. And we'll go from there. And once I get this started, feel like we're missing a few. Thank you for your patience with this. And so while I'm finding the last couple of panelists, I need to go ahead. And if our panelists, if you can come on video, that will help in this process because I think a couple of our panelists are not on video. All right, thank you. There we go. There we go. And so we will start with Jabbar Edmond. If you can introduce yourself and your connection to OCGC in one word that describes how the conference felt for you. And then if you can pass it to the next person.
Hey, thank you so much. My name is Jabbar Ed. My connection, I've been around and associated with the One Community Bush Co-op since the New Deal for St. Pete, actually. And
Oh, we lost you for a second, Brother Jabbar. So we'll come back to you. Let's go ahead and try and get Kay. Can you start us off and then pass it?
My name is Kay Haynes. I've been with the co-op for a little over a year. I'm the one that sends out the newsletters. The conference for me, I think one word would be inspirational. And we'll give it to Miss Ellen.
Well, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ellen Sievertson. I've been with the co-op for 2 or 3 years now. And I'm part of the employee or member engagement committee. And I feel like it was very inspiring being at the conference and seeing all the other people working cooperatively. And I will pass it over to Amber.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Amber Woods. I'm on the Government and Civic Engagement Committee. And one word, I'm not sure how long I've been with the co-op. Probably a little over a year. I'm only kind of recently getting like really heavy with the co-op as far as engagement. But one word that I could use to describe the experience was definitely enlightening. Coming into this, I had no idea what a co-op was. It just sounded like a great idea, so I joined. But I really found out exactly what a co-op was and all the work that it takes, to put in and make one successful. So enlightening would be my word.
All right, let's pass it to Brother Muji, and then we'll go back to Brother Jabbar.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I'm Brother Akhtar Mujahi, and I been with the co-op for I think probably right at 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I think that it's an extremely, extremely, extremely good co-op. I've been in the grocery store basically all my life cooking, but I thought I knew a lot, but I didn't learn as much as I thought until I became a member of the co-op. When I became a member of the co-op, I feel bad because I learned so much from Erica. So it's a good idea. It's a good thing to be part of, and I see the growth in it.
Thank you, Brother Muji. And next, Brother Jabbar.
Hey. So can y'all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My name Jabbar Edmond. I've been a part of the co-op since really the inception, since the New Deal for St. Pete and when it started. I'm more involved now than ever before, actually, and a large part is due to the up and coming. And I would say the up and coming conference to me is one word, maybe two words: educational and inspirational. How about that?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So tonight's first theme is going to be about leadership and governance development. And so I have a couple of questions for the panelists. So if you can feel free to kind of popcorn in and answer the question, and we'll move on and just go through that, through the themes, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions and answers from people out there in the Facebook world, or those people who are online with us right now on the Zoom. Okay, so the first question is, what session, conversation, or moment most strengthened your leadership or governance skills or understanding of either one? And feel free just to pop up. All right, we have Brother Jabbar.
Um, I think I think what moment the aha moment for me was maybe 2 years ago. At the up and coming conference, I attended the business management pathway. I think that's what they call the pathways in the trainings. And I learned so much about co-ops. I learned that, co-ops are businesses that, just have a heart, that care about the community, and still businesses. I learned that co-ops and pantries are all a part of a food ecosystem. And I didn't understand what a food ecosystem was until I went to the co-op conference, and until I started, working with one community, and the importance of having a whole ecosystem, not just one, two choices or one, two um, different ways, but a whole food ecosystem. And I think that was something special for me.
Thank you, Brother Jabbar. Anyone else want to chime in on that question? Okay, Brother Muji.
Yeah, for me, I'm like Brother Jabbar. I had a good experience with the workshops when we went to the conference a couple of years ago. And I think what, um, from my point of view, what gives me good strength and good leadership ability is that I, to a great deal, I know the field. And by me knowing the field and I'm being in it, it gave me a lot of confidence. And then I learned that being in that type of work or that type of field, you have to be a people person. And I think that I am that, a people person, and that just put the icing on the cake for me in terms of being a good leader and an outstanding candidate.
All right. Thank you, Brother Muji. And I'm just going to make a clarification before we get to Kay, is that um, Brother Muji went to Up and Coming in 2024. Brother Jabbar, Kay, Ellen, and Amber actually attended Up and Coming in 2025. So this is a yearly conference, and we've been fortunate enough to have a group of people go for the last 3 years or so. So I'm going to go to Kay. And Kay, do you want to answer the question on leadership and governance?
Think so, or they might get. Yes. I don't know. I don't know that it was one particular workshop or session that I attended. But just seeing, and I don't know if this answers the question or not, but I'm going to share anyway. But just understanding that the co-op world, it's not just a business, right? It's a movement, and it's a movement that is led by very passionate individuals who have a very strong sense of being of service to the community, to the world. And it was just so powerful to see just the camaraderie and the support for each other at the conferences, because I did attend in 2024 and 2025. And you meet people from all walks of life, and there just is no, just everybody comes together. It's a movement, and it's a very powerful movement, and it is very inspiring. And just the leadership and the teamwork and just the coming together. It's not unlike, it's unlike anything I've experienced in any other kind of workshop or conference that I've ever been to.
Right. And thank you so very much, Kay, for adding that as well. Is the cooperative space is exactly that. It's a movement of people made up of professionals, lay people, you name it. There is probably a cooperator who is a part of a co-op somewhere in our ecosystem. And that's very important when we're building. One of the things that I did not mention is that we are all volunteers. So everyone on this panel volunteered their time and their energy and their resources to come to Up and Coming and really learn and push this forward right here in St. Petersburg. Okay, I'm gonna ask if anyone else has any input on the first theme, and if not, okay, looks like Ellen is coming off. Thank you.
So for me, I think the thing that kind of most strengthened my leadership skills, I attended a session called People Power, and they discussed a lot about how to build a functional team, kind of stressing the importance of really defining the work, your structures, the roles and responsibilities for like the board of directors, your staff, and the different committees that the co-op has, and making sure that you clarify, everyone's specific assignments, who's approving what, and clearly communicate all the expectations, and assure that you're making sure you're assuring accountability that isn't punitive, but it's more collaborative and supportive. So that was some of the things that I got out of that session. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in? All right, so
I did. I'm sorry. I don't know
okay,
how to raise my hand. I don't know how to use this. Sorry.
okay, no
Um,
worries, just come on.
so as far as governance and leadership, I forget the name of the workshop that I attended, but actually during the whole thing, you have mostly like board of directors and like leadership there. So it was really, you're surrounded by the leadership of all the co-ops, and just to see how when they spoke, there was a lot of it's very organized, more organized than what again, I'm new to the co-op space, and I think I had my own ideas about what a co-op is and what it isn't, and they spoke the way they have their team set up, and it's very well put together. I'm gonna put that out there, and I was surprised at how well put together it was. Um, uh, the conference itself, and just to hear the leaders speak. There was the first day of the conference. I forget what it was called. The Black Lead, and I probably came with my own stereotypes that I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry about that. But it was very empowering to see that I didn't know that like this was a movement. I really did not know this. So just to hear the leaders that are in Erica's position, I did not to see there was like a bunch of Ericas to be in the room with a whole bunch of Ericas, and they brought the same passion and the same organization. To pull something like this off, you have to have organization. And I mean, when they came in, they spoke, and you could tell that they were ready. You could see how they accomplished all that they had accomplished. Those who already had storefronts and those who were like almost there working on it, you could see, like, you could tell, yeah, you're gonna have your storefront soon. You could see the passion and you could see the organization there. So that was eye opening for me as far as building a leadership. They were definitely great examples.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Amber. And you have led us gracefully into our second theme, which is operational excellence and co-op development. So now let's talk about strengthening OCGC's development. We are just on the cusp, if people don't know, of getting out of what we call the organizing phase and going into feasibility, where we will actually choose a site location and really begin to build out and see how the brick and mortar will take place. And so I have a few questions. My first question is, what practice from other co-ops inspired you or seemed most useful for OCGC's next step? And anyone can answer.
Hey,
Muji?
hey, I think
Go ahead, Jabbar.
okay. I think one of the things I noticed, and I think um is how the Detroit Co-op displays their number count, and when it goes up, all the member owners are able to see it when you walk into the store, like in the corner. I think that's something.
Thank
I
you.
hope that's
Yeah.
what you was asking.
Yeah, no, that's a
Okay.
practice that's inspiring, making sure that everyone knows how many member owners are in the co-op. And I failed to mention that for us, we are now at 175 members. Let's get a whoop whoop hand clap emojis in the house, please. Yes, we are very proud
Woo,
to
woo,
be there. Whoop whoop, and are so thankful for those member owners who have helped us get there. Anyone else want to answer? Brother Muji, you had a response for that.
woo.
What practices inspired you or seemed most helpful for OCGC in the next steps? Oh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think what jumped out at me the most were I forgot the brother name, but he was a extremely good guide tour. What his name was? The brother that was,
Brother Malik Yakini.
yeah, yeah. We stayed in contact a long time, but he gave us a good tour. It was marvelous, and he took us to a lot of historical places. But that's besides the point. But he took us to a lot of black stores, and I was amazed to see um, how some of the stores he took us to, they were small, but they were clean, and they had good food in there. They had fresh fruit, and they had just what were missing in the black community. They had it in the little small store. And then he took us other places. And I like the fact that I'm saying that's why when I had came back, if you all remember, I know Malink um, and Kate might remember that Jabbar, that I always mentioned, can we go smaller, because I had seen how some of them took small spaces and magical tricks, and then when we went to the bigger places, I seen where it took great minds, like this, the one we went to. It took great minds. It took dedicated people. It took loving and caring people for the community, and that really inspired me. And I said, if they can do it, we can do it.
Right. And I think Kay has her hand up.
Okay. I will say that what we should keep in mind, I've heard a lot of the co-ops talk about, this is kind of behind the scenes in operations, but just being true to the vision, being true to what our member owners are asking for, what our member owners in our community needs are. Because I've heard some, especially this week, with the BWE Because We Exist series that FCI is doing, where co-ops have said that, you know, they, because of other influences, maybe from their GMs or whatever, and that's another thing, you know, making sure that we identify those individuals who are in line with our vision, the GMs or whoever are in line with our vision, and make sure they have an understanding of how co-ops work, and so that we can progress and not experience some of those other issues that other co-ops are kind enough and vulnerable enough to share with us, so that we don't make those same go down those same paths that they had to go down to learn some of those lessons. So I would say that being mindful of our leadership and making sure that, like I said, we are true to our vision and our mission, and that we make sure that we put our community's needs and understand what they're asking, what their wants are, so that we can be successful and impactful in our community.
Yes, thank you, Kay. Amber? Amber, I thought I saw your hand up, or is that?
Yes, I'm technologically slow right now. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I think I'm piggybacking off of what Kay said. We visited several co-ops, but there was one in particular that was in a neighborhood that it was in the neighborhood, but the people that shopped at the co-op, I want to say that they were not of the neighborhood, if that's a kind way of saying it. So what I got from that is, like she said, staying true to our mission and making sure that we're serving the people who are in need. This is to me is this is a need based project that we're doing. We're answering the issue of food deserts and the food desert in South St. Petersburg. So to make sure that we are advertising to and serving the needs of those people who are most vulnerable in South St. Petersburg, and not lose our soul, not sell our soul to get to the finish line.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Let's talk about something else. And when we talk about um, operational excellence and co-op development, we also have to think about some operational insights and things in terms like feasibility, financial readiness, membership, and store development. And so when we look at those, were there any insights that you gained from the conference that speak directly to feasibility, um, that financial readiness, and how membership and how it grows in the store development? I see Kay, and then I will put Amber next.
One session that I attended was a session, it was about the site. I forget the name of the session, but it was pretty much site evaluation. And the exercise that they put us through was actually looking at the logistics, looking at because you have an idea, right? You come into it and you're like, well, maybe we should put it here and maybe we should put it there. But what the facilitator of that session did was he had this spreadsheet and he went through and he gave us a plan, a site, that's actually being used. And we were to identify based on the spreadsheet and the different items that the site need to have essentially, and see if this site really did make sense. And actually it didn't, but they made it work. It was a real thing. And the co-op that had chosen this site, they had to do a lot to make it work, but it was actually looking at where the dumpster is going to go, signage, where can you legally put signage for the store? Does it have space for deliveries? Like all these little things that aren't so little, that you have to take into consideration when you're looking for a site, even down to, accessibility as far as transportation, which because of that particular session, I did attend at the foundation on 34th. PSTA actually did a workshop addressing some of the changes that they had rolled out in October to accommodate the demands of the people who rely heavily on transportation, from frequency to more stops to making the stops more weatherproof. And so, just thinking about those things that we may not necessarily think about as far as where site developments and what makes sense for our store and what our community needs.
Right, Kay, and thank you so much for sharing that, because I would just like to point out that Kay went to a session that talked about feasibility and site selection, right, at Up and Coming, and then was able to come back and transfer that knowledge, it sounds like, and attend a session at the Foundation for Healthy St. Pete, where they were talking about transportation and how transportation affects different things in the community. Did I gather that correctly, Kay?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Very
Mhm.
good. So one of the things that we want to remember is we went to the conference not only to improve things for OCGC, but it was in many ways to improve individual leadership as well, and insight about what happens here locally and how we can impact that. And I think Amber and then Brother Jabbar, you're on deck next.
So can you hear me now?
Well, Amber is going first, and then you're next, Brother
Great.
Jabbar.
All right.
Okay, so we had a round table type session, and everybody went around and they talked about their co-op and a problem that the rest of the people could help that co-op solve. So everybody had to share, and then everybody shared what they thought they should do. And I shared that, and this is not the co-op didn't say this, but it's just my observation that St. Petersburg is special in that we have a lot of free food, a lot of food pantries, a lot of access to food, to be in a food desert. And I was explaining that it makes you not feel like you're in a food desert, but you really are. And I felt like that had to do with member engagement, and um, I felt like we should have had more members by now, considering the circumstances. And someone mentioned earlier that food pantries and food co-ops are actually a part of one ecosystem, and that's what was brought up. And that, someone suggested that we begin to build relationships with the pantries, not just saying that we're not in competition, because we know we're not, but maybe underlying, maybe there is some competition there, and that we can alleviate that by building relationships like now with the pantries and working together. And I had not thought about that. So as far as not just member engagement, but community engagement, that was something that I took away from the conversation. And I see that right now we have something going on with positive impact. I don't know what name to put on it, but opportunity is probably the best name. I think
Mhm.
opportunity is the best name to put on it. But it was something that came up that maybe it is something that we could, since there's so many pantries, but that still is not what we need. That is not empowering. Giving away food is not empowering us as a community. It keeps us dependent. So how can we work with the pantries to help strengthen the community? So that was something that I took away from that, that conversation with those people, that building, nurturing that relationship so that they can help us empower the community. That's what I took away. I think I'm answering your question.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'll leave you with a African proverb that says excuse me, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that gets hurt.
Yes.
And
Amen.
so when we think about just co-ops versus or grocery co-ops versus pantries versus other food access avenues, we have to understand that we if we're fighting and we're not working together um, to really solve the problem, what will happen is the people get hurt. In this case, the people are the grass. And so thank you
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sharing that, and we'll move on to Brother Jabbar.
Oh, and yeah, thank you for that, Amber, because you jogged my memory, and I needed that. But so um, I think this was like other years that I went. I was in that meeting with Amber, when she was talking about the ecosystem and all that, and I've been using that. That actually gave me wording that I didn't have. It gave me conversation, like something that I didn't know to say, right? Pretty much. And another the most important thing I learned, maybe the first time I went, I sat inside of one of the sessions with some of the up and coming grocery co-ops that were either just opening or about to opening. And I think I was in the with Baba Malik, and they hadn't opened yet, or they were talking about it. And one of the things I think they were talking about the way they got the CBG, the block grants, and the way they were financing their build. So they hadn't opened yet. And the particular session that I was in was about financing and how to turn your members and memberships into actually, shovels in the ground, right? And something that I learned, and I really needed this. They talked about how long it took Detroit to open their co-op. And at that time, it was maybe 13 years or something like that, like a double digit number. And I remember sitting there thinking, well, how old is one community grocery co-op? And I was just thinking in my head, and it was probably at that time maybe 2, 3 years old, maybe a little under 3, 4 years, something like that. And I said to myself, I was like, oh wow. So we're not as far back as I thought. We're actually right on pace. And we actually have a big brother, which is the Detroit Co-op, that actually did the entire process and really right there with us, showing us and helping us. So it actually, when I learned that this isn't a fast process and that we are kind of right on track, right? Because I've never seen a co-op operation. I never really paid attention to co-ops before this. And to learn that, it inspired me. That actually is what got me to go in future years, because I was like, you know what? We're actually moving. Like we hit some humps, but we're moving, and this thing is moving. And the Detroit co-op, and there was another co-op. I'm gonna say this and I'm done. It was the new North Carolina co-op. Um, Amber, I think you were Amber and Kay. I think y'all both was in this session when they were sitting up there talking about the things that they're going through and the ability to open up, and they had just opened up. And I remembered the brother from like a year or two ago when they were talking about opening up, and I'm like, "Ah, wow, this is amazing." I remember when they was this the second or third one I don't seen that was trying to open up, and by the time we came back round, they were opening or going through a real big update. So that's all. I don't know what I was saying, y'all. I was that's
No,
what came to mind.
no, Jabbar, you are right on track because our third theme is networking and relationship building. And so, one of the most powerful parts of up and coming, and many of you have mentioned this already, is the connection with other communities. And so, one of the questions that I'm going to ask is who did you connect with at the conference? And I'll just leave it at
Mhm.
that. Who did you connect with? And just we are running a bit on time, so if you can keep your response to about 30 seconds or less, that would be great. And I see Amber's hand.
All right, I might have raised my hand too fast because I can't remember the name, but I'm gonna make this is why it's relevant. When Snap was cut, or when Snap was threatened to be cut, an email came out, and I had put my name on a networking list um, in the name of one community grocery co-op, and we got. I remember getting the email, and there was a Zoom call about what can be done, and that was an opportunity for different co-ops to come together and come up with a solution all around. The co-ops were from all around the U.S. and how fast everybody had jumped on. Hey, we got to come up with a solution, and pulling everybody together to come up with these solutions. I felt like that was a very strong network. It was more, not just talking about it, but being about it. I thought I was very impressed by that. I wish I could remember the name. I could probably pull the email up, but that was one of the few. I'm not a social butterfly exactly, but that was one of the connections that I made that almost immediately came back, and I had an opportunity to nurture that connection. So
Okay, great.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Would anybody else like to share who you connected with at the conference? Ellen?
So mine was a little bit personal, but I spent time with a consultant who had started her career in working with co-ops when she was a teenager, and it was actually at Valley Natural Foods. It is a co-op that my mother helped to start in 1977 in my
Wow.
hometown. So that was really cool to be able to build that relationship and kind of go back to my background as well with the co-ops. And it's just nice to also because we've met so many of the different consultants and people at other co-ops that they offer all the time to call them if you have questions and if you need assistance. So those relationships that we make there are going to be lasting, that we'll still be able to ask them for advice or what do they think on different scenarios. And that was pretty cool.
Very, very nice. And I like those full circle moments, right? I'm sure Ellen had no idea that she would have to travel over 1,000 miles away. And or when she traveled over 1,000 miles away, she would meet someone who actually worked at a co-op that her mom helps to start. And so this shows how the connections stay deep and stay long. And one of the next questions I'm going to go to is how might these relationships, I believe some people touched on these, but how might these relationships strengthen OCGC in the long run? I know Ellen talked about how we have the ability to have like a lifeline. I think in a game show they said the call a friend if you need help to answer the question. And so we have a lot of friends to call. But are there other ways that you all could see that these relationships might strengthen OCGC in the long run?
I like to say that not just necessarily calling a friend, but um, these co-ops are a template, and it's so much better to have a template rather than starting from scratch and having to come up with all the ideas first yourself. You have to make all the mistakes yourself. It's like learning the hard way, everything the hard way. When you have this network and you have these connections, someone else has probably already done the work and have already learned the lessons. And so it's easy to look at the template, see how they built their co-op, and see how, whatever challenges we're having, they're probably having it or have already had it. And especially with the financing, I thought the financing was very interesting. I didn't even know that you can get financing for a grocery or any type of co-op. I had no idea. So just having a template. I think that's my point. The template itself helps strengthen us, so we don't have to make the same mistakes, and it's more smooth sailing. I think that we can see that in our growth. It seems like we're ahead of the curve. That we're ahead. I don't think it's going to take us 13 years. It doesn't feel like it
It don't.
to get
I
brick and
hope.
mortar, and
I
I think
pray.
yeah, I pray too, but I don't feel like it is. I think that we're living the fact that because other people came before us and we have those templates, it's happening faster for us.
Mm.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I think, in the professional world, they call these best practices, right? That we are learning all these best practices, we are improving our professional and grocery terminology and business acumen are some of those words that might be thrown around in professional circles, but we're doing this all in community. And so really appreciate those responses. We have just a few minutes left. So I want to make sure that we allow some space for people who are out there, either in Facebook land or who are on the call who have questions. If you would like to put them in the chat, or you can come off mute and show any questions or comments that you might have. Eh, And I will read one from Maria. She says, I am so inspired by everything I've heard tonight. Thank you, Amber, Ellen K, Muji, and Jabbar for giving your time, energy, and going to this meeting and gathering all this information. Yes, no, so appreciate. Love that, love that. Um, any anyone else?
I got a comment more than a question. And I
Okay.
just want to say thank you, Erica, and thank, everybody, all the team, right? Because um I've been able to learn some things that I absolutely have been able to apply in my general community organizing, even if it was just little tidbits about funding or organizing or structure or whatever. Because I appreciate it. I do. I haven't traveled much in my life. And some of those trips that we've taken have been life memorable, like thankies or whatever they call them.
Life
And
changing.
and I appreciate it. I got a lot of videos and a lot of pictures I'm trying to get to you. So give me some time, and I'm putting it all in the drive.
Yes, thank you. And I'm not sure what happened, Brother Jabbar, you got cut off, but
Yeah,
that was a prompt to think about. That was going to be one of my next and actually closing question is, how did, and this is to any one of the panelists, how did attending the conference strengthen you? And how does strengthening you help strengthen the co-op or OCGC?
I'll jump in there. Um, Attending the conference strengthened me. I was always like wanting to like try to sell the co-op to someone, but I just really didn't know what a co-op was. And I'm glad I didn't jump out there because I would have been very wrong if people had asked me questions. And I didn't, I hate to have to BS anybody, but but to go to the conference, it just was very eye opening about what a co-op is and what it's not. And I think that strengthens me because now I'm being on the governance and civic engagement committee. I can really go to people who are truly holding us accountable. They want to know, they want metrics, they want data, they want real answers. And if you go in BS and they're gonna find out. So now I can go in front of council. And if we need, I can go in front of county commission. If we need, I can go in front of state and I can speak confidently about the co-op and I'm learning to speak more confidently as we go on. You just gave me best practices. You just gave me all these different words I can start putting in. My business acumen is getting stronger and stronger as we speak. So in that way, it has strengthened me as a leader, period, because I'm a president of a neighborhood association. So I actually brought a lot back to my neighborhood association just from going to the co-op conference. So our 2026 is even being revamped because of the things that I picked up from the conference. So all around, excellent, excellent opportunity. And I can't wait to do it again next year.
All right, that's what I like to hear. Planning for the next year. And so what I want to say is, the insights gathered here tonight will help us shape OCGC's governance, our operational plans, our membership growth strategy, and future conference participation. And we really invite everyone who attended to stay involved. If you're a member owner, join a committee, volunteer in roles and upcoming events. Our collective growth really moves at the speed of trust and the speed of membership. So people ask me all the time, when is the store gonna open? Erica, you've been at this forever. When is the store gonna open? And we open at the speed of the community. And thank
And people are asking questions. And we're having conversations with politicians, our local politicians. And so that's speaking to the importance of the work that we're doing. And we really need, like Erica said, our community support right now. We really need to show up at those council meetings.
We do have somebody on the line. I'm not sure if they can see the chat, but if you are on the line and you can see the chat on Zoom, I put something in there because, Rich, are you available to come off mute just for a second? Oh, it's
Okay, there I am. I'm
there you
unmuted.
are.
It's lovely to get acquainted with you all. I look forward to furthering the connection and learning exactly how I can contribute. And happy to see the enthusiasm and um, the learning that's going on about how to create a co-op, because it's a challenging task, and it's great that there is this support network that you're plugged into. That um, I have not been in touch with the co-op community for a number of years, but it's close to my heart, and I have a lot of background connected to co-ops and natural foods. So I look forward to meeting you all and furthering this. Thank you for including me, Erica.
Yes,
Thank you.
and thank you. And I'll give a little more detail about um Rich. Rich has been in the natural food and co-op space for about 50 years, I want to say, and is retired, but found out about us through an article in a partner's newsletter and has now come on to be an advisor with us. And so we are so grateful to have him on board and look forward to a bright future with him. And so again, we appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you to our panelists for sharing your wisdom. Thank you to every member owner and community member present tonight. Your commitment and engagement are what makes this co-op possible. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Please look in the chat and also visit www.ocgc.com co-op, C-O-O-P. If you're not a member owner and you would like to be a member owner, we wish you well and to have a restful evening. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Good night.